Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. In the last episode, we ran into these two, Mr. Garadeb and his maid, who are the landlords of the house/apartment building that our client, Sosei Natsume, lives in. So, in the last episode we talked with them. They're definitely lying a bunch. As you can see over here, they were like, oh, nothing happened around dinner time, but stuff's missing. There's like oh god, I'm sorry. My stick got out of whack there on my controller. The cake plates are all over the place. The candelabra is missing a candle. The crockery and the jars and everything are all shattered on the table. Someone was very mad, or something bad happened yesterday, one of the two. And all this stuff on the walls is messed up as well, so I'm not sure exactly what this is down here on the floor, but I'm sure it will come into play later. And there's also, it looks like there's a big spill on the ground now that I look at it, like what was it? Oh man, I can't tell what that is. It's either something spilled over there and they used this to cover it up, or potentially they messed up. The fire over there caught the rug on fire, which I think is more likely, and they had to use this bucket over here to put it out. So that will be interesting. There's some stuff over here that's knocked over too. Those look like mortar shells or something. So yeah, I think there was quite the commotion in this room when the murder was occurring yesterday. But that's neither here nor there right now, just giving my thoughts on some of the stuff that I've run into. I'm going to go ahead and jump over to Mr. Natsume's room. Ooh. Oh, he's got a cat! Yes! Oh. Why does he not tell us these things? They're so important. I mean, it would be hell to try and keep the cat from going to the bathroom on any of these books, gonna be quite honest with you. But it's definitely interesting. And why is there so many pieces of paper in the trash can? Very messy room. What? Just look at this place. And smell it. It's so musty in here. I suppose it's the mountains of old books that are responsible for that. Does he steal these books, or does he buy them? I think he probably has to steal them, right? I don't think I've ever seen so many books in all my life. No, me neither. It's so dark in here, too. Yeah, that's because they bricked over the window for some reason. Is that the window over there? Well, it was the window, I think. Yes, once upon a time. I'm starting to feel like this building has been condemned at some point, and no one's supposed to be living in here. And, well, these people up in the top, the so-called landlords, are charging people to live here without actually owning the home themselves. But for some reason, it's been closed up with bricks and mortar. So this is where Mr. Natsume lives. By the way, I haven't spotted Mr. Sholmes anywhere, have you? No, that's true, but according to what Mr. Garadeb told us, the great detective should be around here somewhere investigating. Well, first I'm going to look at the cat, because the cat's great. There's a kitty. There's a cat. Yeah. Kitty. Whoa. It just wandered over there. Oh my, what an adorable little cat. Perhaps he's looking after all the books while his master is away. I don't know about that. He disappeared into that pile of books as quick as a flash. It was a tricolor Mike? Is that how they... Is that what they call calico cats? in Japanese? Not sure. It was a tricolor Mike, wasn't it? Do they even have that sort of cat here in Great Britain? Perhaps Mr. Natsume brought the little creature with him from Japan. That's made me feel homesick now. Already? We've only been in the country for 2 days. Interesting. Well, the cat was here and now it's gone. I suppose we'll look here first. That desk seems to be wedged into a crevasse between the mountains of books on either side. I suppose Mr. Natsume would sit there and read while stroking his cat. But surrounded on all sides by these towering old tomes, surely he dreamt of books every night as well. Yes, he must have done, mustn't he? Oh, what's this? It's a receipt from a second-hand bookshop. Your books. Oh yes, Mr. Natsume's name is on it. Look, and the date of purchase? 2 days ago at 4:45 p.m. That's the day of the incident. That's just a short while before he was embroiled in the terrible attack. He must have been on his way back from buying some old books. Interesting. So he would have had a book with him at the time. Or whatever he purchased on the... I'm not sure what that is up there. Looks like a little stage for some reason. So we'll look at the window. Could you even call this a window? I think so. It was a window at one time, after all. Although all that remains is a frame around some bricks now. So really, it's just a wall then, isn't it? But why would anyone deliberately brick it up like that? I'm afraid I have no idea. Ah! Perhaps Mr. Natsume painted the brick design in a fit of whimsy. That's alarmingly feasible, is it? Painted the brick design on. What? Anyway, whatever the reason, the lack of ventilation in here makes the place feel very oppressive. It does. I imagine being cooped up in a room like this would be extremely trying. Yeah, it would probably be rather trying. Even though I'm kind of a gremlin and I like to hole up in a room sometimes, I need a window or like a source of natural light in the process. So, yeah. Just being in a dungeon and cooped up there for a long time would definitely wear on my sanity. Look at all these balls of paper on the floor. There are notes scrawled all over them in English. It looks like the wastepaper basket is so full they've just fallen out. I think Mr. Natsume must have been deeply immersed in his research, don't you? Or deeply averse to tidying up his mess. Yeah, we know that Ryunosuke seems to be quite the neat freak. I wouldn't like to speculate which is closer to the truth. Me neither. There's a lucky cat, right? Oh, look! It's a beckoning cat from home! It's a bit big and bulky, isn't it? Surely Mr. Natsume didn't bring that Maneki Neko all the way from Japan with him. I hardly think you're in a position to comment, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you forgetting the enormous Daruma doll that you brought in your luggage? Well, it can be dangerous traveling abroad. I wanted a lucky charm. Well, I imagine Mr. Natsume wanted the same, and this cat is sure to beckon good luck to him. It's not doing a very good job so far, is it? That's true. You mustn't say such things. I didn't say a word. Why are my eyes such a giveaway? I like how good of a observer Susato is at reading people's emotions. Ah, there he is. He's just chilling. Alright, let's talk to you. Ah, look, Mr. Naruhodo. Aha, there he is. Where did he appear from? He seems to be engrossed in the pages of an old book. I hope you won't mind if we disturb him. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, you two. Good day. Now, let me see. Where was it that we met? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, we were together on the SS Buria. Yes, of course, the Buria. And let me see. What happened on that voyage? It was Kazuma Sogi. He died, tragically. But you were a great help to us. Ah, yes, but of course, the case of Mr. Asogi. It was the one with the snake, wasn't it? Oh! Well, you seem to remember. Something of it, at least. What an honor! He remembered vaguely by the great to be remembered vaguely by the great Sherlock Holmes. This is Mr. Oh, no, my dear madam. Hold your tongue. I pride myself on my superior powers of recollection. Your names are safely recorded in my brain attic. Miss Naruhodo and Mr. Susato. Ah, you flip-flopped them. Try the other way around, Mr. Sholmes. Ah! I lose the first round. In truth, I had hoped to invite you both to my Baker Street suite the day we arrived in London, but some Scotland Yarders ambushed me at the railway station and whisked me away to a crime scene. It was an entirely trivial case, of course. I solved the matter in no more than 30 minutes. So they apprehended Soseki-san in that short an amount of time? I'm afraid the pursuance of a new case has dulled my recollection of my past involvements a little. A little? It is a mistake to think that one's brain attic has elastic walls and can distend to any extent. I do my best to forget useless facts, lest they should elbow out the useful ones. Yes, those are my own words of inimitable wisdom, you know, from an adventure entitled A Study in Scarlet. Please, there's no need to quote yourself. I don't always remember my pearls of wisdom, but fortunately, my associate pens them beautifully. He means Iris, I suppose. Mr. Sholmes, we have some extremely important questions to ask you about the trivial case you just mentioned. Goodness, what an earnest expression. My dear madam, I should be only too pleased, and this murky room is an apt place to discuss the murky case. Alright, so let's talk with Mr. Sholmes. We know this to be the lodgings of a Japanese foreign student by the name of Soseki Natsume. It seems that you assisted in his arrest, Mr. Sholmes, for the stabbing of a young woman outside here on Briar Road. Natsume. Yes, I believe it was a name rather along those lines. But Mr. Natsume denies it. Oops, I'm sorry. I kicked something while I was putting my leg down. Was it really justifiable to arrest him on so little? I'm sorry, Miss Susato, but I have not the slightest idea what you mean. What? I can't believe he was looking Susato-san squarely in the eye while feigning ignorance. That is weird. I assure you, I am not merely feigning ignorance. It would appear as if the pair of you are under some misapprehension. Oh? How? I assure you I have no recollection of accusing your astute compatriot of the crime. But that doesn't make sense. The good detective of Scotland Yard made the following request of me, and I quote verbatim. We need you to ascertain the identity and whereabouts of a man seen fleeing the crime scene. Ah, a man seen fleeing. There were a number of books scattered on the pavement at the scene. From the book plates, I was quickly able to determine the bookshop from which they had been purchased. On speaking with the proprietor, I was immediately led to this address. Elementary, wouldn't you say? I believe there is a receipt around here somewhere from the establishment in question. So you don't think Mr. Natsume is the culprit then? And I could not tell you. But it was aggravating my faculties, hence why I returned here. However, this place is such a trove of fascinating books, I found myself quite lost in bibliophily. Ah, man, that's a blah 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 word to say. Do not be deceived into believing that I am a man of leisure. No, no, no. Oh dear. Alright. What about the landlord? What do you think of him? Ah, tell me. Have you encountered the landlord of these lodgings? Oh, he brings up the subject. Yes, Mr. Garadab, a retired military man. It was the first time I've ever met a soldier from the great British institution that is the services. And it was the first time I've ever met a maid from the great British institution that is service. I didn't think it was that funny. I do apologize. As you may well be aware, many households in London employ a maid. Yes, I read as much in my Great Britain primer. And so, conversely, whether or not a household employs a maid has come to betoken the social standing of those dwelling therein. Betoken their social standing? Sorry? Put simply, my dear fellow, those who employ at least a single maid are considered middle class. Those who do not are beneath that. In the upper echelons of society, of course, households employ enough staff to constitute a large family. Goodness, how extraordinary. As you can appreciate, for those on the precarious boundary between the middle and lower classes, being able to afford just one maid is of the first importance. I had no idea. It is for precisely that reason that I find great stimulation in the situation upstairs. Specifically in the retired Army veteran, Mr. John Garrideb. Oh? Affable as he is, the fellow is hiding something. Whether or not it imposes on the circumstances of this case, I am as yet unable to ascertain. I'm thoroughly lost on what he means to say. I think I'm getting a bit of an error as to what he's trying to say. He's basically saying that there shouldn't be a way that Garrideb can afford a maid. The dingy room. This room is thoroughly suffocating for the soul, my dear fellow. I assure you, any man whose lot is to dwell in a place such as this will stab somebody sooner or later. Mr. Natsume has stabbed no one. Ah, but sooner or later, as I said. I don't believe that's the issue here. About this dark little room, Mr. Sholmes. Why is there no longer a window? Do you have any idea? No window. Well, I mean, I can clearly see that there is a window of sorts. But it's been completely blocked with bricks. Ah, I see. The answer to that question is quite simple. Window tax. Window tax? What is that? Surely not a tax on windows. Precisely that. Oh my goodness! Until relatively recently, a tax was levied on households in this country by the number of their windows. Those of lesser means, having inherited a sizable and costly family home perhaps, rapidly closed windows up. While the rich opened windows here, there, and everywhere. In an effort to curry favor with those in power by furnishing them with large sums of tax money. How awful and unjust, forcing people to live in rooms devoid of light. Indeed, disease was rife as a result. So some 40 years ago, or thereabouts, the window tax was abolished. But its legacy remains, as you can see, in squalid lodgings such as these, for example. I suppose Mr. Natsume's stipend for living here in London isn't very generous, perhaps. It would appear so. I've done a little digging, and discovered that these lodgings were offered at an extraordinarily low price. Because the room is so awful, I should think. Apparently Mr. Natsume only moved in here about 1 week ago. Yes, that's correct. However, I don't believe the low rent is explained by the shabby nature of the accommodation. Oh? Still, that is of little relevance here, a matter not worthy of further attention. Are you sure? I'm curious now. Well, I believe I've told you all I can now. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, yes, Mr. Naruhodo. Was it not your intention to become a practitioner of law? You remembered that, did you? Will you perhaps be offering your services in this very matter, I wonder? To the occupant of this room, Mr. Natsume, was it? Oh, he does remember. I'm not sure. Not sure? On what grounds? Well, I actually defended someone in court here only yesterday. Really? Well then, I congratulate you, sir, on an ambition realized, and so promptly too. The thing is, it's really made me question things. Am I right to believe in my clients? To trust in their innocence? Yes, trust. Mr. Sholmes. Mr. Natsume didn't do it, did he? Ah! My dear fellow, I haven't the first idea. Oh, but I thought that's why you were here. Didn't you come back to investigate? Ah, yes, that was indeed my initial intention. There are simply too many fascinating books here. I couldn't possibly ignore them. Oh, I see. Nevertheless, there are two facts that I can state quite unequivocally. The man who fled the scene of the crime 2 days ago was the Japanese occupant of this room. And there are witnesses who swear to having seen the same man commit the crime. That is all I can say. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, what is it, Mr. Sholmes? Tell us. I cannot say with any certainty whether or not it is of relevance to this case, but I am quite sure that the retired army man who owns this property is hiding something. Mr. Garrideb is... Mr. Sholmes said as much before, actually, didn't he? Anyway, at present, that is really all that plays on my mind in relations to this case. Mr. Naruhodo, as yet, our investigations have uncovered nothing that could help establish Mr. Natsume's innocence. No, you're right. Perhaps it's time we probed a little deeper into Mr. Garrideb's secret. Just remember, I cannot be sure whether the landlord's secret will prove to be of relevance or not. But I wish you every success, of course, Mr. Naruhodo. Alright. A busy man indeed. He's gone back to his book in the corner of the room. Alright, we will be back after we uncover Mr. Garrideb's secret. Let's see here. I don't see them. Oh, there they are. Ah, you Peregrine. Tell me, was the detective chap, I forget his name, still hard at work down there? Mr. Herlock Sholmes? Ah, yeah. Oh God, why did I pick? Oh, whoa. No. Ah yes, rings a fake bell. All that detective business isn't really my thing, I'm afraid. Well, Mr. Sholmes is in his element down there. Jolly good show. Another cup of tea, if you please, John. That's a lot of tea. Now then, why don't you tell me what... Ah! For the umpteenth time, woman, would you watch what you're bally well doing? I shall be serving dinner shortly, sir. Yes, of course. Rightfully rude of me, but I'm afraid I shall have to ask you to take your leave, if you'd be so kind. Oh, yes, of course. We are deeply grateful for all your assistance. Not at all, not at all. Don't get much chance to talk with young foreigners like yourselves. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck and all that. Perhaps you could see yourselves out? According to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Garrideb is hiding something. Since no other avenues of investigation seem open to us at the moment, perhaps we should do some digging. I see you pop in over there. What are you doing? What's he doing over there? Mr. Sholmes? Aha! We meet again, my dear fellows. Good gracious, when did you sneak in here? Herlock Sholmes, sir. At your service. Whatever were you doing over by the window? I'm given to watching the evening sky as the sun sets, madam. Yet sadly, cheerful as the room downstairs undoubtedly is, it lacks an aperture for such observation. So I took the liberty of borrowing a small corner of space by the window up here. Wow. Keeping an eye to one's windows at dusk is the prudent thing to do in London, I'm gathering. Also, I can already tell that they're sweating because he's getting close to the window. They don't want him to see the burnt portion of the rug over there, I'm guessing. Ah, and one other thing, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, me? I thought perhaps you might be in need. A certain great detective's great mind. Wait, he's not talking about... Is he? I didn't expect to be going through that again so soon. Do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? There is a mighty secret in this modest room. I see even the most trivial of trifles. I take it you're prepared, Mr. Naruhodo. I think so. It's just time enough for one of my greatly admired great deductions. Let us conclude the matter before dark. Wow. We're actually going through a great deduction here. Mr. Garadeb, though it would seem you are a military man of considerably distinguished service, your standing as a landlord is most certainly not what one might call first-rate. Huh? I'm afraid, sir, that it is all too clear to me. There are two conclusions I have been able to draw by careful observation of your living arrangements. I beg your pardon? The first is that even as we speak, you are concealing the presence of a ferocious beast in your care. And the second is that as a result of the beast's violent rampage, you have lost something very dear to you. Oh, that's possible. I suppose it could have been the cat got in here and messed everything up. I mean, it did go through the pile of books over there. Mr. Naruhodo, look! The old man's broken out in a cold sweat. Unbelievably, it seems Mr. Sholmes' conclusions are both spot on. How could you possibly? How could I possibly know, you mean to inquire? The answer couldn't be simpler, sir. For in the dense jungle of logic and reasoning, I am the king of beasts. Ah! And I know only too well that wild beasts are not easily tamed. So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Yes. Been waiting for this. Probably my favorite mechanic that this game has. It certainly shouldn't take a great detective to see that a fearsome beast has been on the rampage of late within these four walls. Thus we are faced with the question, what form might this beast take? Ah, for a man with military breeding, your eyes are uncommonly candid. Your furtive glance, Mr. Garadeb, leads us directly to the answer. The true nature of the beast that has run rampant here is revealed by that lion statue. Yes, no an army man, you appear unimposing at best. A fact that has fueled your admiration for the mighty lion, the king of beasts. What is this piffle, I ask you? In the end, your admiration became so great, in fact, that you had a living, breathing specimen shipped from India, which you tried to keep in this very house. What? Oh, he's got something on the side of his face that we can't see. I saw that. Yet, living with such a wild beast proved more difficult than you had imagined. The chilling traces of a wild rampage are still very much in evidence. Well... Yet, as we look around, the beast in question fails to present itself. Where could this angry creature have disappeared to, madam? Me? I pray you do not consider me unchivalrous, but it is plain to me with one glance in your direction. It is? Your dress pocket gives us a handsome clue as to the beast's current whereabouts. For protruding from it is a handbill advertising a circus show. Oh! Yes, you sought to dispose of this terrifying lion, Mr. Garadeb, at Batty's Circus, a traveling show currently sojourning in a nearby park, I've observed the tents. You sold the savage lion, sir, to the circus troupe. I most certainly did not. I believe I have made my point. The fearsome beast which ran amok in this room was an Indian lion. And a simple visit to the circus now will reveal the lion prancing jubilantly through a ring of fire. Oh god. Never change. Never change, Herlock. Now, Mr. Garadeb, it is plainly clear that you still have deep feelings for this formidable beast. Indeed, in that blithe pose, the distress this loss has caused you is veritably tangible. Your head weighs heavily on your shoulders. The pain you feel being revealed by that supporting arm. Amid fits of tears, you let your beloved beast go. The strain of losing something so dear to you is clearly visible in your visage. Nonsense, man, I simply... But what, we must now ask ourselves, is the true cause of this pain? And we only need follow the direction of your gaze to find the answer. Yes. It is this pile of bills that has given rise to the pain you suffer. Every envelope contains another demand for payment. Oh! For cartloads of meat, potatoes, wheat, and tea. Indeed, feeding your beloved has had a devastating impact on the financial circumstances of your household. And so you had no choice but to let it go. Yes, well, Now, in a final fit of rage, the ferocious beast carried out one last unimaginable attack. Unimaginable? The aftermath of which can clearly be seen by observing the carpet over there. Oh, that's the candle. Oh. I gotcha. So it went over there and it kicked the candle somehow. It hit the candle onto the carpet, which caused a fire, which almost burned their floor to pieces. A very expensive woolen carpet, if I am not mistaken. Oh, dearie me! What could have caused such a destructive outburst? Oh! This time, madam, I'm afraid it is you who has inadvertently revealed the truth to me. Your wandering eye has settled upon the answer very neatly indeed. Yes, to explain the dire state of the carpet, we need only look at the Tower of Cakes. Oh! There's no creature more dangerous on this earth than a beast with an unsatiated appetite. Was it or was it not once said by a certain noblewoman, if they have no bread, let them eat cake? Food is at the heart of all tragedy, in fact. Whatever do you mean? Having tired of the taste of cake, the beast began to stalk its next prey. I'm sure I need not spell out the nature of this final act of destruction carried out by the beast. There's only one logical conclusion. Worked into a frenzy by hunger, the lion attacked and ate the carpet. The teeth marks in the carpet are a perfect match with those of a lion I once saw in India. Alright, well that was something. Well then, this concludes Sherlock Holmes's great deduction of this beastly puzzle. Ah! What is the matter with you, Joan? You're pouring scalding hot tea all over me. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Garadeb. I'm afraid I didn't notice. My deductions can be startlingly sharp. It stands to reason that your cup runneth over. Indeed, my revelations can make people spill tears at times, too. Oh! Mr. Schultz, sorry to butt in again, but can I make an observation? Why, certainly, Mr. Naruhodo. What is it, again? Well, your deductions just now. Do you really think a lion could have fit inside a room of this size? Indeed, it is the only explanation for the facts. The terrifying truth all too often lies beyond the realms of common sense. But wouldn't it be an idea to consider what lies inside the realms of common sense as well? But if an uncaged lion had run amok in this very room, surely Mr. Garrideb and his maid would have been hurt, or worse. That's where you are stuck. No doubt the former military man held his own against the beast using that large cannon. I thought you said they sold the lion to the circus. Just the mental image of these two trying to load a cannon to shoot a fucking lion in the middle of like a New York studio apartment. And what about the food? Meat and potatoes are one thing, but I don't believe I have ever heard of a lion that drinks tea. My dear Miss Susato, it occurs to me with some regularity that irrespective of race and breeding, whenever anyone lands on Great British soil, they are infused with a highly appropriate taste for afternoon tea. Oh, what a glorious notion. Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, it's your turn to shine again. I had a feeling that was coming. A slight massage, that's all Mr. Sholmes' deductions need. You can do it! Excellent. I've been waiting for my trusty partner in deduction to step forward, Mr. Naruhodo. We don't even know yet whether or not this is going to help with Mr. Natsume's case. Still, uncovering the truth is always worthwhile, whatever the motivation, and we will uncover this truth in the next episode. Wow. The writers for Mr. Sholmes keep outdoing themselves. It's just so fun and ridiculous. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, yeah. In the next episode, we'll probably point to the fact that the cat that we saw in Soseki's room, is the real cause of all of this tomfoolery that has happened. So yeah, we will see you guys in the next episode when we take on Mr. Sholmes' great deductions once again.